Ooh. Yo, I actually started this video at the library, but it didn't turn out right because the library's closing. Long story short, y'all know me as Zeta Rufi. Birth certificate say Cedric. Free national name is Zeta Rufi on my leaf. I'm standing here at a picture that has an Afro native. And a lot of people pass him and don't even know that this man right here is an Afro native. I did a video here before. It's on YouTube. I'm gonna keep it up, but it was a short video because again, I'm making my videos priority first. Everything that's an emergency first, or that need to be prioritized first. But there's all these native people past this right here. This is an Afro native. He didn't come from Africa. Afro native. He didn't come on no slave ship boat either. He's already here. But this is what you'll see in my last video when I meant for fight for taxes. So let me elaborate. What I'm saying is that you're not taxable because you're not a fake entity unless you vow to be a fake entity or a representative of a fake entity that is subject to United States and that is subject to pay United States debt. So according to United States Constitution, all debt that occur in the United States is the debt of the United States. But the United States is a federal corporation. According to United States Code Title 28, subsection 3002, definitions of the United States. It's a federal corporation, so it's a fake entity. So the only way that a fake entity can cover its own debt is if it has real people working within the entity. And the only way that entity can exist is if people created the entity. So anyway, what I have here is a paper informing us through the Information Act that you can all look up. Is the Treaty of Peace and Friendship between Morocco. And what happens is, the focus of reading this is to prove that we are on Morocco land. Sorry, we got helicopters passing out of the cabin. Anyway, we got papers proving that we're in Morocco territory. Now, if we read these papers deep, I can point out just a couple things. One, according to their Lord or their God, which shows that they're idol worshiping and not creating the whole universal God that made everything. They're separating ideology of God right here, and it shows you right in front of your face. Why? Because not only did their calendar is different because of their God is different, or the person that they call God is different. The calendar that they made this peace and friendship according to the United States was 1786. According to Morocco, in Muslim nations, it was the year 1200. So this is also, if any conscious people have heard that we've been skipped 500 years later. It ain't a lie, it's just the information you take from it. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people spin things, and it wasn't just like they jumped you ahead. It was literally their date is different from your dating. So this is why when we look up history, we can't connect how Caucasians was able to invade us, but they actually didn't forcefully invade nothing. They did trickery like they always did. But right here, you're looking at, again, an Afro native that been here, period. And he's actually short. No, the documentary, somebody took it down. Hold up, y'all. That's why I had to record this shit. I didn't even notice that this shit, the poster they had for this man was taken down. They don't want you to know the name, obviously. Somebody allowed it to be taken down. But he's a natty coat. I'm sorry, natty coat is another tribe. He's a Nako Chunk. Nako Chunk is what gave the rise to the name of Anacostia, which park I'm at in DC. Anacostia Park on the southeast side. Again, it was the native name that gave Anacostia his name, from Nako. A Nako Chunk was the name of his tribe. Like y'all remember that. See, this is why they're going to try to start erasing knowledge, and this is why it's important for me to teach it the way I'm teaching it, from this way. Somebody told me I'm developing a pedagogy. I like that. I need to come out with a program now, pedagogy. Anyway, here, if you read the Treaty of Peace and Friendship between the United States and Morocco, you read yourself, y'all. It's online. you would see that they was in 1786 while we was in the year 1200. This is why your history doesn't match up. So what you'll have to do is go into the year 711 when Muslims were started, and it will also tell you why we started Muslims, which let me skip forward to the year 900, which that was the years of 1200 in their calendar, 1250 when they made the Magna Carta. There you go, the rights to freedom to travel, because they didn't even have the rights to travel. But anyway, from the years 1250 starting the Magna Carta all the way up to 1492, when Morocco was taken over by Roman Catholics in 1492. And so that was the same year that Christopher Columbus was allowed to come over here. Ain't no coincidence. So here you go. We're going to go ahead and also show that these was the first parliaments or government that we know as, or we called religion. But religion was no different from this government. And it actually formed government. And the reason why I'm saying that is because if you read one of these these treaty articles, is going to say, if we shall be at war with any Christian power. So that's right there should tell you that Christians was aligning each other, not just by ideology, but secularly, by worldly views. And again, these was carving each other's interests and making these people like the French or the English and the Britons get together. And that's what made the European confederations. Long story short, you also will see, which is crazy, right, is that if any vessel, if we shall be at war with any Christian power, and this is the Morocco Sultan talking, with any Christian power in any of our vessels, it's important to know who's talking, whose the point of view it is. In any of our vessels sail from the ports of the United States, which is a federal corporation back then. Remember, United States capital was in Philadelphia. It was a federal corporation. This is when the Europeans first made their confederation and hid it under calling the United States. This is how they limited their liability, taking up for giving reparations for slavery so they can keep changing names. Anyway, from the ports of the United States, no vessel belonging to the enemy shall follow until 24 hours after departure, just to make sure they're not scoping or spying. Belonging to the enemy shall not follow until 24 hours later after departure of our vessels. And the same regulation shall be observed towards the American vessels sailing from our ports, be their enemies Moors or Christians. Hold up there. What is that telling you? That the Americans was different from the United States, and that the Moors was also different from the Americans and the United States. See what I'm saying? Now, this is the confusing part, because now you see how it was about territory and not by the natural land. This is why I'm in front of this picture. And at the end of this video, stay to the end, I'm going to show you him closer. This is why I'm at this picture. Because when it comes back down to it, we have to get simplistic. We have over-complex things. The simplistic view is who was naturally from where, what land, literally, because scientists even prove what land genetically fits us and genetically is similar to our DNA. Via gut fluid, there's all types of signs that God gives you to show you that a man is connected to that soil. And if he's the best adapted. And why I say that is because, yes, we can say we're all from Africa, right? So the question would be, it's two questions in there. People haven't been smart enough. I haven't heard this before. People haven't been smart enough to say, the question is, was humans here before Pangea? And if they was, then are you agreeing that we all was just stuck in Africa when the world broke apart? Or was we all on different places in different regions of Africa like we've been? And when it broke apart, some of us was left in America, some of us was left in Europe, some of us was left in, you know what I'm saying, such and such. And if that's the case, we had to adapt to our environment. And on the other hand, scientifically proven, if we wasn't here, that part is not scientifically proven, but what I'm saying is if we wasn't here and we just migrated here earlier before everybody, that was proven by Ivan Van Sertima and also scientists that have been hushed that won't say nothing. So Ivan Van Sertima made books and showed us that we've been everywhere. We still have adapted to this land. Again, check out the Mayans wearing leopard skin and practicing the culture of priesthood, of showing their high status by the costumes they wear. This was a global thing. And this was our people wearing dreads, who also got tainted minds by indoctrination. And this was the fallen This was the failure of our empires, of our imperialism all over. Because again, we had different empires, but we was native. Again, that's why I'm at this. Because here's a man who didn't understand third point of view, because again, he didn't have to overcomplex life where he was wondering so much what another person think about him. Understand, that's what the third point of view is. That's another person point of view. So what I'm saying is this man right here wouldn't call himself a Moor. He wouldn't call himself American. He wouldn't call himself a United States citizen. He would just be, and he'd probably call himself by his tribe and his attribute. So maybe his attribute could have been fast or quick. And then his tribe could have, okay, which we know his tribe name, his tribe was Narco Chunk. So he could have called him Quick Narco Chunk. Because again, we didn't have last names. So this is also how you can do your family history like I did and find out by your surname who you and your family was connected to, not just by slavery, because again, this is what I'm proving. Slavery was not, like Kanye West said, how we thought of. Not that he's saying it didn't exist, it just wasn't how we thought of. So the way we thought of it didn't exist. It was another way. And what I'm saying is you can find out your family, through your family surname, you can find out who you was connected to by not just indentured servitude, who your family was sharecropping with, all of that, because that's what was going on already. It wasn't just slavery, it was sharecropping. This is what I'm proving by the people that called them American. Because the people that he's saying that called themselves American wasn't about black or white. We're confused by that. The government's trying to confuse you by that now. It wasn't about that. Remember, we had white people as slaves. We created all these cultures. So again, this is why also, pun intended, we as natives or dark people or black people, whatever you want to call us, can't be racism. Not just for the fact that racism is economic, so we're not in a position, or economic position, we're not in the economic position right now to put y'all in oppression. Via, we can because it's our resources, but we ain't taking our resources back and using them. But again, it's not racism, because again, that's why I'm in front of this picture. It goes back to who it belongs to. Again, we're not arguing with the burglar in your house about who refrigerator it is. It's your refrigerator. You was here longer. It's our refrigerator. So this is why this is also showing you and exposing that it was people going by different nationalities in America, been in a melting pot. We've been American. That's the trick. So again, we and these third points of views are making you sick and create psychosis. When the game is really classism and literally who's connected to the land. That's what the game is. Because in the end of that, everybody else would be racist that's not part of the land, that's not helping the people that's from the land. Because you're creating and you're perpetuating the propaganda of oppression. Which I don't want to say propaganda actually, because oppression is real, but it's also to a certain point where we're oppressing ourselves. So that's why I want to say propaganda. But my point is we're perpetuating that oppression via the white people that just passed, or get Caucasians. And I say white because white, again, see, this is all psychology. White was made after they called you black 100 years later, just to create the opposition. So again, just like the Caucasians just passed me, if they don't provide space, availability, or tell the truth that they still benefit from generational wealth, from stealing and from trickery, coverts, from getting the land and stealing the land, and also blowing up places like Black Wall Street. Remember that? Black Wall Street that was blowing up? That was Tulsa, Oklahoma. What I'm saying is that they did a lot of trickery, and because they was allowed to hide themselves and trying to be natural colonists by calling themselves American and trying to side with us with the French and the Indian War, which was us. The Geechee War, that was us. All these wars were civil wars basically between us and them, trying to allow them to be here and settle here. And some of us wasn't allowing it. This is why we was warring with each other. And in between that, some of them was working with what they call the United States, which was the federal, European federates, to take over this land, like they perfectly did now, via the banks possess your land, because banks can't own the land. A fake entity can't own nothing. Check your laws. But they can possess it for the betterment of the environment. But again, if we don't know this, we allow them to run these regulations. So, again, I was going to keep this short. The only other point I wanted to prove was that we have major currents in the Atlantic Ocean, right? So this dispels the slavery thing about them bringing 1 million of us up here. This is also exposed their mental warfare that they're trying to commit on us and gentrification. So gentrification is just not within America. Gentrification is globally. They're trying to take you out your place in your nationalism. See, by telling you that millions of slaves came over, they're trying to say that since we're all tourists, basically, just be a citizen and vow to what? Pay you down the state's debt by working and doing all this stuff, sending you to missions, as they used to say, colonizing you. My point is that that's where it gets evil at. It's not about racism, it's classism. You're supposed to be administrating your land, controlling the imports and exports and the immigration that's allowed on your land. So then we won't be emotional about saying, hey, it's too many Spanish people doing this, or it's too many Chinese people. No, we ain't gotta be emotional, we can be factual. And say that we're not gonna allow foreigners to take up our land to the point where we can't feed ourselves. That's not racism. That's factual, that's politics. So anyway, my point is that 1 million slaves can't make it from Africa to here on a sailboat or on a ship that's selling. They have to be rowing. And my other point is that they can't have even an extra 100 bodies of slaves making it across these currents. These currents are strong, my boy. So let me try to see that through. You can't make it from Africa to America and through these currents, because these currents are actually in a circular motion to show you how heat rises and cool air go down. And in between these cool airs and heat rises, just like you know, when heat and cold air mix, what happens? It creates a circle. These circles will bring you back from where the hell you came from. Let me not curse. I want the little kids to watch this. These circles with currents will bring you back where you came from. You have to be right. Why is the reason why they had Africans, sneaky Africans, on the boats that we see evident in the paintings that they did on the boats that was coming from the colonists that was selling over here. They was Africans on the boats, not because they were slaves. They was on top of the boat, on the deck, because what? They was helping them get here. Okay, all of that should be dispelled now. We should know that. It's 2021. This is what the Mayans was talking about. All this was going to be dispelled. The Mayans that was here, our ancestors. Man, the point is that they can't make it over here without rowing the boat, my man. And they don't even have enough manpower or strength to row that boat with an extra just 100 slaves, bro, on a ship. It couldn't happen, bro. The currents would have took that ship anywhere. Which they try to fake, semi-tell the truth by saying, hey, sometimes the boats was landing in South America when they was projecting for America, North America. Okay, bro. And then we didn't put together that was because the weight and the lies that they was adding. The weight of the boat won't allow you to carry extra bodies that's not helping you row the boat to America, bro. It's not going to happen. So let me show you. These people who look like almost the original people that we call the Twa people. That so-called, again, that we say African. I'm not saying that they didn't originate from Africa. What I'm saying is that we was everywhere. And I personally believe we was here before Pangea, which means when the earth broke apart, and it broke apart because of us. But I get into that later. When it broke apart, you see the gold on him? Then they also had gold spears they found over here. It was called GAUNIN, that they figured came from West Africans. It was a gift from West Africans. But again, we was trading. That's my point. So that's gonna be the name of this video. Before the Great Interruption, and we had peaceful trade, and of course we had our own little scribbles, grabbles, and rules. But just like black people do now today, we minded our business. But it was just on a global level or countryside level, which means if a tribe was warring with a tribe and it had nothing to do with this tribe, we didn't get into it. And that's how we all survived under the same empire. But that's also was our downfall, because when we started to get into it, it was no tribe that came to the help of other tribes to say, hey, y'all, or peer mediation to say, hey, y'all, let's just stop this because we got a bigger enemy. You feel me? It was too much going on at that time. I just showed you the peace of friendship of the Treaty of Morocco and United States, which showed that you had different nations on one land. You had Americans, people calling themselves Americans. You had people self-recognize themselves as United States Federalists. Then you had also Moors and nationalists and people who's just being natural, which is the point of showing you this. This was a natural man. Again, I did a video. Go back and look at my video where I kirked out and I didn't give you an elaboration of why I was saying fight for taxes. But look, somebody took this down. I'm not going to start no conspiracy and say it was somebody other than a regular person that might have accidentally broke it. But they didn't put no effort to put it back up here, huh? Anyway, bro, lucky that this is why the greatest computer is your mind. This is a narco chunk. Look them up. Southeast Anacostia, Anocostia, narco chunk comes from the same, and it is derived from the same language of narco chunk, Anacostia. This is an Afro native man. He don't have straight hair like the Indians. It's not because his hair is short. It's Afro and Corsi, my nigga. You see that? He's brown with gold on, which means he made that. That's science. But we walk right past it like the shit ain't nothing. Don't even pay attention. Anyway, again, remember the Great Interruption, because this was the Great Interruption before we was successfully taken over by foreigners. So that's what I wanted to explain. So again, the slavery thing could not happen because you cannot sail over these currents. You cannot sail over these currents with extra bodies and weight under the boat. God damn it. It won't happen. You see that? Look, I'm glad it's a boat right here. That shows that we even have boats. That's what I'm saying. The Europeans are not the people who made boats and ships. So again, they couldn't make it through the Atlantic Ocean because us, the Morocco Empire, had trade with, again, this is why we didn't think of racism, because look how I have to say this. The Morocco Empire, which consisted of Africa and America, had trade. But Africa and America is two different continents with two similar cultures but different culture-based people. They called themselves something different than the third point of view a person called them. And this is what? You can tell by their hair, is a mixed breed. The third point of view or the foreigner has made it over here. Anyway, ships like this we been had cannot get across all this current that is showing you with extra weight at the bottom. Them people had to row this boat. And if we were smarter, them people also had little rows, side rows that you could put at the bottom. This is where the Europeans get that idea from, bro. Everything they got, just like they came out the medieval times with the Renaissance, came from us, bro. To make this gold right here is an alchemical process, my nigga. You don't just dig that up and just say, hey, I got gold, bro. We think we going forward in history. We actually going backwards. We're going backwards, man. This is what happened during the Great Interruption. We walk past this every day and call ourselves black or this, that. Niggas are natives. And we still believe 1 million people came over ships. How? The current won't allow it. Our old heads got to be checked.